All right, here we are today with a Buick Grand National cam sensor. What I'm going to do today is take the Pro Kit to install and beef up the cam sensor and take it from stock to a little bit better and rebuild the whole thing since it's probably 30 years old. Okay, so here's what we got. These are some tools that you're going to need. I've never done this before, so I'm kind of going on by the seat of my pants here. You're going to need an Allen head wrench for the new screw that goes in the top. It's a 9/64, I think. You're going to have to punch the pin out of the holding the gear on down here. This is 5/32, and you'll need a Phillips head to take the cap off. The bushings will have to be taken off using the torch probably, and I think you can put these in the freezer. These in the freezer, make them cold, they'll go on easier. What comes in the kit, here I'll show you what comes in the kit anyway. You got the two new bushings. There's a washer that goes down here on the bottom. This is the tab. I'm going to have to bend the tab down that goes in the reluctor ring. This is a shim, goes up at the top near the reluctor ring. Here's a new O-ring, kind of goes right here in the cam sensor. This is the new Allen head screw that goes in the top that I was telling you about. This is the new pin. This is a stronger pin that goes through the shaft. And here's a lock washer. So that's what comes in the kit. And these are the tools that I think we're going to need. I'll let you know if I was wrong on that. Okay, so I went off camera a little bit to get the roll pin out of here. I used this punch, like I said, as a 5/32. I had to kind of get it started with this one, which is also a 5/32, but it's tapered in a little bit longer. Gave me a little more room to give it a good whack. So it's loose now. I took it out. That's what it looks like. We're going to be replacing that. Remember what order you're taking this apart in. Gear comes off like that. There's a washer right here. This is the one I was showing you. You can see that it's probably a little bit worn. That's a factory one. And this is a shim right here that's coming off. From the kit, you can see that the bushings are gone. I went and put the bushings in the freezer to get them cold. And now I'm going to take the cap off, okay? Okay, now I'm going to take the cap off. I've loosened up these two Phillips head screws so I can take it off. Just loosen them up, pull the cap off. So the cap comes off. You see what that looks like. Set that to the side. And this is what the reluctor ring looks like, and you can see that it now pulls out because I took the gear off the bottom. The whole thing will pull out now. Here's the shim on the bottom side. You're going to use the blue colored shim from the kit up here on the top, and that will go there. One thing we'll have to do is take this off and replace it with the Allen head. Okay, so I loosened the Phillips head screw on the reluctor ring. We can pull that off now. Set that over there. We're going to be replacing that. And here's the reluctor ring comes off, and the shaft will now come out. You can see the bushing in there right now, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, I'm going to take the O-ring off right now. This is another tool that you're going to need. This is just a pick. Slide it under there, pull it up, roll it over with your thumb. And take it the rest of the way off the cam sensor. Just like that. Okay, we're going to take the first bushing out. I'm going to heat up the body of the cam sensor and then tap it out. And that was it. Came out pretty easy once you heat it up. Okay, this is the second of the bushings that I need to take out of the shaft of the cam sensor. I'm going to heat up the body and then punch it out. So here we go. I got it sitting in a vise right now and a propane torch. Hopefully that's heated up enough. Let's see if we can get it out. Yep, there it comes out. That's what it looks like. Okay, so I got both bushings out. This new bushing I've had in the freezer. I'm gonna, hopefully it's cold enough that I can just tap it in. There we go. Okay, here's the second bushing. I'm going to tap that one in. Okay, so now I've got the reluctor ring, and we're going to need to make this slot a little bit bigger. So what you're going to be doing is this is going to go in here and replace the little tab here is going to replace this tab right there. It's going to sit in there, something like that. So the first thing we got to do is remove this tab right here. So I just got a set of, I call them linesman's pliers or blunt nose pliers, and I'm trying to take that tab off, and there we go. So that tab is out, and I'm going to file it down now and make the slot a little bit bigger. Okay guys, I just want to do a recap on what I did a couple of things off video. If you remember, there was a tab right here that we broke off because we're going to be putting this in here like this, right? You got to lengthen this slot right here. I used a file. If you had a Dremel tool or something like that, I have one, but it was busted. So I used this file to lengthen this slot right here, because at the end of the day, this tab needs to fit in that slot on the shaft. I also cleaned up the shaft, made it look a little bit better, and used brake cleaner and a little bit of fine sandpaper on it. And then you're going to have to take this from the kit and bend the tab out. I put it in a vise and pushed it through and bent it out. It's pretty easy to do, but that's what it needs to look like, okay? All right, so I think we're ready to put it back together. I got the two bushings in there, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the O-ring, put it on. Should be fairly easy. Just roll it over the edge, roll it up here, and you're set. One O-ring on. The next thing I'm going to do is put the roll pin in the shaft and the gear. So that's going to be like that, and that'll be the new pin. These pins are a lot more beefy, so they won't break off like some of them do in the stock ones. So that's going to go in here, and we'll tap it in. Okay, so I didn't bore you with the hammering, but you take that roll pin, put it through the gear and the shaft. I used to use a hammer and a punch like that. So pretty easy to go in, give a few whacks, and it goes in there. It's all set. Okay, now I'm going to continue putting it back together. Just put the gear on the shaft. The washer goes on, and then the shim goes on, and then the shaft goes in the body of the cam sensor, like that. Okay, You can see it spinning there. All looks good. All right, next on the other end, I'm going to put the shim on the top side on. The reluctor ring goes on. Let me go ahead and put the balancer with the tab on it in there first. Make sure that when you do this, one thing I should mention, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's an X and a 1 on the front side of this balancer. Make sure that that stays facing up, okay? Get that lined up like that. And it goes on just like that. Now I'll take the Allen head screw. It's got the lock washer on it, and I'll thread that in. Okay, so I used the Allen head that I mentioned before, tightened it, and it's as you can see, it's all back together now. It's in there pretty tight. The tab with the balancer, the tab's in the shaft, and spins. And the last piece of it is to put the cap on. So we put the cap on. There we go. And then I'll tighten up the screws and we'll be done. Hopefully this will help anyone that's trying to do this kit. Like I said, I'd never done one before, wasn't that bad. The hardest part was the bushings and heating that up and punching them out, but not too bad though. All right. Take care, everyone.